Next news, breaking news.
Democrats are absolutely losing their minds right now, and what they just admitted on camera should terrify every single American who believes in our Constitution. Representative Pramila Jayapal went on national television and openly declared that Democrats will use the 25th Amendment, impeachment, anything they can get their hands on to remove President Trump from office. A president who won the popular vote, a president who swept every single swing state. And while they're plotting their next unconstitutional power grab, bombshell evidence is dropped that could completely erase Trump's first impeachment from the history books forever. The hunter has become the hunted. Now, here's why this matters to you and your family. You see, the Democrats, they're not just attacking President Trump, they're attacking the millions of Americans who voted for him. They're telling you that your vote doesn't count. They're telling you that when they lose an election, they'll simply manufacture a way to overturn it. Senator Tammy Baldwin just said on camera that she won't rule out any options for removing the president. These people, yes, they swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and now they're openly discussing how to circumvent it because they don't like the results of a free and fair election. But here's where it gets really interesting. While Democrats are busy plotting their next coup attempt, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, just released classified documents proving what we have known all along. The 2019 impeachment was a complete and total setup. The so-called whistleblower lied, the evidence was fabricated, key information was deliberately hidden from Trump's defense team, and now legendary Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz says there's a legal path to completely expunge that fraudulent impeachment from the record. President Trump himself just endorsed the plan. And speaking of fighting back against the deep state, there's another battle happening right now that affects America's national security. This is breaking news from the White House. The Trump administration just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chains, and they named a specific Alaskan project as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. I've been to the Vizsla copper drilling site in Canada myself. I've seen it with my own eyes, and what's happening right now is bigger than most people realize. President Trump just unveiled Project Vault. It's a $12 billion strategic minerals reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America free from foreign dependency. This is exactly the kind of America First policy that we've been waiting for. While Democrats waste time plotting removal schemes, Trump is actually securing our future. And Vizsla Copper is positioned right at the center of this initiative. You can find them in the United States trading under VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. And check out the exclusive briefing. It's linked below, only for Next News viewers, to see why this matters for both national security and your portfolio. Now let's get back to the Democrats' constitutional crisis, because what they are admitting gets even worse. Yes, here's what the mainstream media does not want you to know. The documents that Tulsi Gabbard released prove that Trump's chief accuser, the anonymous whistleblower who started the entire 2019 impeachment circus, misled the Intelligence Committee in his complaint. He had serious bias issues, and here's the kicker. Everything he claimed was second-hand and third-hand hearsay, not a single first-hand fact, and the prosecutors knew this, and they hid it from the defense. That's not just unethical, it's potentially criminal. And now there's a legal remedy on the table. And now we have the Democrats admitting they'll trash the Constitution just to oust President Trump. Yeah, they'll stop at nothing. Pramila Jayapal flat out said if Democrats gain power, they'll invoke the 25th Amendment to sideline the vice president and do whatever we can to get him out. Sounds like a democracy to me, right? They literally want to go around the Constitution and remove a president who won the popular vote. Here she is on what they're calling MS Now.
You support using the 25th Amendment? Obviously, J.D. Vance is not the guy to do it. This cabinet is not going to do it. But your colleague, Ro Khanna, who I spoke to earlier this week, was talking about the need for a moral position and moral conviction in taking that position as opposed to just realistically whether or not it would happen.
Oh, absolutely. I said that a week ago, that we should invoke the 25th Amendment. As you point out, that is something that, unfortunately, by the process we have, and there was actually a bill that was introduced, I think it was last session, by Jamie Raskin to change that process, by the way, should we ever get control of the House back. But right now, invoking the 25th Amendment requires the vice president and then requires him to get a majority of the cabinet. And so I have taken the position that we need to do whatever we can to get him out, impeach him, invoke the 25th Amendment, push for him to resign, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. Can we just impeach you? She's dropping bombshells about bending constitutional process to oust Trump. It is clear Democrats are pulling no punches. Do you think they're at a point where the 25th Amendment is reasonable? That's the question being posed here now to the Democrats.
I think that we're at the point where the 25th Amendment is a reasonable, is a something that should be looked at. Is it realistic? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Look, I'm not going to rule out any options here, but what I will say is my focus is on what are more realistic options. So with regard to the 25th Amendment, I have little faith that Donald Trump's cronies on his cabinet are going to get on board with removing this president from office. As to your other question about appropriations, look, there's been ample amount
of course, President Trump and his cabinet's not going to stab him in the back like Caesar. And despite her doubts on Trump's cabinet backing the 25th Amendment, let's pivot to a new angle as we explore the legal terrain surrounding Trump's 2019 impeachment. An impeachment reversal now in play. John Solomon back with reporting the president could vacate to erase his impeachment.
Just a little bit ago, the president retweeted one of my stories with an admonition to the great Harvard law professor, Alan Dershowitz. You should go do this. What is he talking about? Last night, here on Real America's Voice, Alan Dershowitz suggested that the president now had the legal right to go to either the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, who presided over the impeachment proceedings of 2019, or to Congress and ask Congress, you ready for this, to vacate, to erase his impeachment because of the evidence that Tulsi Gabbard has now made public of cheating. What is that cheating? They knew President Trump's chief accuser, the alleged whistleblower, the guy who filed that complaint in August of 2019, had, one, misled the intelligence community in his complaint, two, had serious issues of bias, and three, knew nothing firsthand. Everything was hearsay, first, second, and third hearsay. Those three elements were kept from the president's defense team, the Senate jurors, the House impeachment managers. Alan Dershowitz said, hey, when this happens in a criminal case, it's a Brady violation. They usually vacate the conviction. I think the president can go and vacate this impeachment finding in December, literally erase it from the books through a vote of Congress or by a declaration by the Supreme Court justice who was the trial judge. The president this morning shared that story and said, Alan, you should go do it. I think he just hired Alan Dershowitz. We're trying to get that confirmed, but keep a close eye on that one. Listen, Russia collusion became Ukraine collusion. It was one continuous operation. Then Ukraine handed off to two other scandals. The whole goal was to pin down.
With the impeachment narrative unraveling, claims of withheld evidence surfacing, Dershowitz's thoughts on annulling Trump's impeachment have now come under the spotlight. The Blaze posting Trump 2019 impeachment exposed. Gabbard provides damning insights into the deep state stitch-up. We've been covering that here. We have some other reports on the channel. You can find out more. And let's go to Dershowitz's remarks that John Solomon was just referencing here.
Well, you've come up with an interesting, novel approach. It's never been done. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done. Impeachment is a quasi-judicial procedure. Whether you have to go back to Congress and ask them to expunge it or go to the courts. But I have to tell you one thing. History will expunge it already based on your work. Because what you've done is you've created so much doubt about the credibility of the main accuser that it's hard for anybody to sit back now and say, that was a just impeachment. But I don't know that there's going to be any remedy. Maybe we should try to create one. But having you there to constantly keep the government on its toes deters future government officials from doing this, because these government officials will probably have to pay a political price, if not a legal price, for violating the Constitution, because that's what they've done. They violated the Constitution.
Yeah. And President Trump, of course, leaning into that, doubts raised over the impeachment legitimacy. President Trump says, get on it, boys. And let's just hope that they do. You see, Professor Alan Dershowitz just laid it out perfectly. impeachment is a quasi-judicial procedure, and when prosecutors hide evidence, when accusers lie, when the entire process is rigged from the start, there are remedies. Trump could go to Chief Justice John Roberts, who presided over those proceedings, or back to Congress itself, and demand they vacate that fraudulent impeachment. President Trump saw Dershowitz's analysis, immediately responded, quote, "Alan, one of the greats should do it," end quote. Think about what this means. The same Democrats who are right now plotting to remove Trump with the 25th Amendment could be forced to watch as their 2019 impeachment gets completely erased from history. The deep state operators who orchestrated the hoax might finally face consequences. History isn't just being written, it's being corrected. Now, let me be clear about what we're witnessing. Democrats have completely abandoned any pretense of respecting our democratic process. They're openly admitting they'll use any mechanism, constitutional or not, to remove a duly elected president. Meanwhile, the truth about their past crimes is finally coming to light, and there may actually be justice. You see, this is exactly why independent media matters. The corporate press won't tell you this story. They were complicit in the 2019 hoax. So share this video with everybody you know and drop a comment and tell me, do you think Trump should move forward with expunging that fraudulent impeachment, yes or no? And while you're still here, make sure you text raw feed to 844-840-4963. The numbers are growing. That's right, this is how we bypass the missed notifications that YouTube never sends you, and when we get buried under the algorithm because they've weighted the search results against us, well, I'm not going to fail you. I'll send you the notifications directly to your phone from Next News Network, so you don't miss anything. And while you're at it, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and show the world where you stand. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. And remember, we're not just reporting the news, we're fighting for the truth. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.